If you've been following along with me, in the last couple of videos that we've been doing, we've been looking at washes. So we've looked at the flat wash and then the graded wash. And in this video, we're going to be doing the same thing. We're going to be looking at another type of wash. And the wash that we're looking at today is called a mingled wash. Essentially what a mingled wash is a wash where you have multiple different colors within a single wash. You can do it in a couple of ways. You can actually start with putting down your color and then putting another color in and seeing how they mingle together, or you can start putting it down in a larger wash and then you charge colors into that. So there's a couple of different things we're going to be doing today. So without further ado, let's go and have a look at how we're going to do that. See you there. Okay, so like we did in the other demonstrations of the flat wash and the graded wash, we're going to create a mingled wash and we're going to put it into a normal geometric shape. So I'm going to create a lovely rectangular shape on my piece of paper. Now, obviously I'm only doing this for demonstration purposes. You can do this mingled wash over the whole entire surface, but just for demonstration purposes, this is why I'm putting it into this smaller section on my piece of paper. Now, with a mingled wash, you're going to be doing different colors. So you're going to be using a whole bunch of different colors and you're going to be mixing them on your surface. I highly recommend, especially when you're in the beginning stages of watercolor, is that you mix up your pools of colors initially. So as you can see here, I've already started and I've mixed up my pools of colors. I have created a cadmium yellow, which is this lovely cadmium yellow by Daniel Smith, the same ochre pink that we had before, and I've mixed up two other colors on a separate palette. And this one is a cobalt blue, again by Daniel Smith, and this one is an undersea green. So these are the four colors that I'll be using to create my mingled wash. Now obviously, when as I get more and more advanced, or more and more advanced, I'd say that is probably the better way of describing it, I don't have to mix up these pools. I can do it on the fly. But the reason why I'm suggesting that you actually mix up your colors initially into little pools of color is because this way you can just start playing around and working and seeing what the colors do without having to suddenly think, oh gosh, I've got to mix up a bunch of, say, cadmium red and put it in there. But we will do that as well, because I'll show you how the bead is going to help you. Because if you don't create a bead like we did, that little bead that we had, if you don't create that little bead, you're going to get hard lines in your mingled wash. So let's have a look. Let's start off. This is how you do a mingled wash. Again, I've got my board on a nice, I actually have it about a 45-degree angle. Could be about 30, 35, but 15 degrees is definitely the minimum you want to have your board at. So I'm going to pick up my color and I'm going to create a section, put that wash into there. See how I've got that lovely bead? I'm going to bring it down, and this bead is your friend. Remember, the bead is your friend, okay? I'm going to wash my brush off and I'm going to load it again with a different color. This time I'm going to load it again with this little opera pink, and I'm going to bring it into here and pick up that bead. And you can see that I'm getting a beautiful mingled color. See how the yellow is mingling in with that ochre pink. And up around here as well. Again, I've got this bead. I might bring it down this way a little bit just to vary it off a bit. I might add a bit more color into that. Wash my brush off. Pick up my next color. I'm going to go with the Cascade. Oh, not sorry, it was not Cascade green. It was the Undersea green. And I'm going to charge that into that pink and see how they mix together. And see how I'm not getting any hard edges at all. I'm getting these lovely mingled wash. Wash my brush off and pick up my last color, which is that cobalt blue. Again, picking up that bead, bringing it down, that cobalt blue. And finally, I'm going to end up with doing, what am I doing? I'm going to be using that lovely thirsty brush and picking up that last bit of that bead. And there you go, folks. That's how you create a mingled wash. Now the thing that you're going to notice with your mingled wash is that colors are going to mix differently. Some colors, they call them sort of like friendly colors, and they're going to just sit beside each other and mingle nicely. And there are other colors who are going to push the other colors away. And you want to learn this. You actually want to learn what your colors are going to do next to each other and how they're going to interact, because you can sort of see with this undersea green, it really has pushed itself into that cobalt blue. This cadmium yellow has mingled slightly and mingled down here. This bead was a bit bigger down here, so it's mingled beautifully through here. And again, these two colours seem to have sitting nicely next to each other, whereas that undersea green is really, they kind of like, it's like a frenemy. It's going to push into your cobalt blue. Right, so that's how you do a mingled wash. Now the other thing that I was talking to you about in the start of the video, we're talking about charging. Now if I want to charge a colour, I can basically do the similar thing. It's similar to making a mingled wash. I won't draw a square, but if I just put some colour down on my surface like this, and like we did with that flat wash, and then I'm just going to pull it around, see what it does. I've got that beautiful wash through there, and now what I can do is I can charge that wash with, say, the ochre pink, and just drop it in there. This is called charging. This is where you're charging a colour into another colour and seeing what happens to it. If you want to, you know, change what happens in the direction of the flow, you can move your board around. So I can move it around like this, and this is going to bring this colour back into here. Again, you can see that it's moving around. I hope you can see that. See how that bead is, where the water is moving around, and I'm creating an interesting effect by doing just that. You can also wait for a little bit while that colour tends to dry, and then drop another colour into it. The dryness and the wetness and dryness of your watercolour is really going to influence how your colours mix together. So if the paint is drying, because it's always drying, it's, the water is, as naturally is evaporating off the surface, and during particular stages of your painting, the surface is going to be either really wet or going towards dry. I've waited a little bit for this. I don't know what's going to happen. You can sort of you can try and you will learn how to judge the dryness of your paper as you go along. But if I drop a different colour in there, it may have a different effect. Now see how it's sort of more sitting and granulating and doing different things, and that might be a kind of look that you might want. So that's a couple of things that you will be using quite frequently in your watercolors. You'll be using mingled washes. You'll be using this sort of thing where you're charging colors into different colors, because if you're charging colors into different colors, you're creating your own set of different colors. So, you know, I'm creating. Oh, I've got a bit of my cobalt blue is a little bit dry. So, let's see. That's okay. We're all good. That blue in there. Now, as I said, like as you progress as an artist, if say for example I go, oh, instead of using that ochre pink, I actually want to use a cadmium red, I can, while that bead is still active, I can come in and grab some cobalt red and create a mix on my palette. Obviously, if you have more wells, you'll be putting in a different area, and you're not necessarily with your cadmium yellow, but you know, and I can then come down and create that. Still have that bead there. Make sure I have an active bead, and then do a similar thing. So if I go, okay, no, now this time I want, say a cobalt turquoise. This is a lovely colour. Grab that activate that cobalt turquoise, and then now if I'd let that dry, so okay, for example, see on the blue there, and actually on this cadmium red, if I go, oh, I actually want to mingle my colours over here, and I don't have a bead, so you can see there's no bead. If I pick up that cadmium yellow now and try and mingle across that surface, can you see what's just happened? If I add a little bit more pigment to my section, you'll see that I now have a distinct line between those colours. and I can agitate it a bit to try and get rid of that distinct line. But the more and more that colour dries, the more and more you're going to have that issue. Because if you see, let's have a look at this one here. This one here has been drying quite a lot. It's quite nice and dry. It's still a little bit damp. When I touch it like that, I can tell that it actually still has some dampness to it, and the paper is still drying. But if I try and now go, okay, oh, I really did want to have another colour in here. Say I want to go back to that ochre pink. If I pick up that ochre pink and try and mingle that colour, it's not going to work. See that exact thing I was telling you about? It's going to mingle beautifully with the cadmium yellow over here, because that's still wet and it's got that lovely bead, but the blue itself is not mingling, and you're going to get that hard line in your work. So this is the kind of stuff that you need to understand when you're painting watercolour. What your paints do, what happens when they dry, how you can mix them, the timeline that you have to mix things and things like that. Right. So I hope you go and try and experiment with this. Do a couple of different examples. Try it in a square. Try it where you're going to charge those colours in. See how they look quite interesting, and then try and once you get comfortable mingling your colours, then come in and try and do it where you're actually doing it on the fly and trying to create beautiful mingled colours without having to mix up your pools. Okay, so that was Mingled Washes. I really hope you got a lot out of that video and you're actually getting to the point where you can master mingled washes. You can do all the different types, especially when you get into the more advanced sort of paintings where you're going to be trying to do things on the fly. The more and more you actually understand how your paints are going to be drying on the surface and the colours and how they all mix and all that sort of stuff, the more and more proficient that you're going to become at this medium. So I understand that for a lot of people they're going to be saying, right, okay, I'm doing these flat washes, I'm doing these graded washes, I'm doing mingled washes. What do I do now? Well, in the next video, I'm going to do a small demonstration where I'm going to show you how you can use all these little things in just a tiny little painting. See you there.